Hello, everybody. I hope you had a good weekend. I'm going to walk us through the plan for the week, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about watching videos, reading academically, first intro into literary criticism, which is super short because it's your perspective. And then at the end of this, a picture of my great nephew. You'll want to see that. The kid's ridiculously cute. All right. So this week, for Wednesday, no research required. Here's a post for you. What makes a good reader? When you're at home or anywhere else reading something off the phone, doing it because you want to, you know what you want to get out of it, right? And you do that however the heck you want. When you're in college, right, you're reading for an academic purpose. So it isn't just, it's not to get to the end and said, yes, I read chapter 2, right? Your chemistry teacher doesn't really care if you read chapter 2 and then don't understand what you read, right? So academic reading definitely involves an understanding, a comprehension of what you read, which means you may have to slow down. You may have to write questions. You may have to do some research on your own, right? Most of what we're doing, the term Canada is brought up for a building in the first story that you read, right? It might make sense. There might be enough context that you understand it, but if you don't, right, you may have to go onto Google and spend less than 5 minutes and find out that that was a building where all of the supplies of the people coming off the trains were put, right? So when you're reading, for sure, if something doesn't make sense, right, it is your job to find out. And there's a couple ways to do that. One is asking a question, right? This is the I have my hand raised, and go ahead and use that discussion post. And I was a little tardy on getting back to people. I will be faster this week on the raise the hand post. But you can go there, and as we're all academics here, part of this then will be, hey, I'm going to go look myself, right? And I would typically at least spend a couple minutes looking, and then if you don't find something, then ask me, right? And that shows me that you're actively engaged. Now, so that's the discussion post, right? Which you do I want you to post by Wednesday, right? And then you've got all the other days to respond. There's another post. This is different, and it's about research, which obviously is a big theme of this class. So what do you think goes into research? And that one will be due by Sunday night. And now we move to the reading. There's an introduction that I want you to read. It'll tell you a lot about the author. As you read, you'll always have the book with you if you're doing anything for this class. So it's not like you need to remember a date or, oh, this is the first thing that happened. That's not the notes that I want you to take. The notes I want you to take are, for starters, if there's something you don't understand, make a question, right? Because you don't just want to ignore it. If something sticks out, like, wow, for whatever reason, this piece stuck out, make a note of that, right? If, as we go on, you make a connection to something like, oh, I just read this, a week ago we read that, or somebody posted this, make a note of the connections. Yes. Also, if you are skeptical of something, put down you're skeptical of something and why, right? Because that might be something you can bring up in a discussion post, right? For example. Or if you think something's really important, this is the most important thing, right? Go ahead and mark that down too, right? I do not expect you to know a lot of World War II history, okay? I don't expect you to know any. This is America, and we don't do a great job of learning history. And that's not a knock on our history teachers. I've included, as you can see right here, just a very short video so at least you can see a visual which might help you picture things. There's, of course, plenty more things on the web. If you find something that you think is helpful, go ahead and use the interesting videos. Right? This is where you can post and say, hey, Steve, well, hey, class, here's an article, here's a video, here's something that you might help. So you read the introduction, and I'm going to want you to think about what do you think is important about the author and what do you think is important about the time. Take notes on this. In a week or two, you'll actually use those notes. Now with the short story, the first one, This Way to the Gas, ladies and gentlemen, I also want you to take notes on what's important to you, what sticks out, who do you relate to most in this? Who do you think, wow, I could never do that? And what you're doing is really the first level of literary criticism. How do you respond to the work? So I want you to take your notes. How do you respond to this? What does it make you think? What are your thoughts? And then next week and the couple of the following weeks, we're going to look at different literary criticisms. Say, okay, so now we're going to look at this story through another lens. And it will be very important that you have, here's my first thoughts on this story, and you'll be able to compare. So make sure, that's why you're taking notes on this. One, just to lock in ideas in your head, because taking notes is one more way to make your memory work. But the other part is so you can say, hey, this is what happens when I look at it myself. And then later on, what happens when I look at it through a critical race theory lens, or a feminist lens, or a psychological lens. Now, when you are watching videos, right, never forget that you have a pause button. I'm just messing with you. But you have a pause button. If I say something that says, hey, make sure you do this, right, or this is important, hit pause, take out your notebook, write it down, right? That way you won't miss anything, because when it comes to our assignments, you'll have a paper handout that says do this, and typically there will be a video that's a video conversation like this that's connected with it. You're responsible for both. So as you're watching this, if I say, hey, make sure to include apples, right? Pause it, make a note, make sure to include apples, whatever that means. Now's when I tell my Blue House story. Think about it this way. You got your very first house, and it is this terrible, terrible green, right? So you save up for 2 years, you're going to pay a house painter to come in, and you got your favorite blue picked out. And they say, great. All right, and you say, hey, I'm going to be gone for the weekend, paint my house blue, I'll give you $8,000. You go away for the weekend, you come back, and it's yellow. Are you going to pay them $8,000? Most of you are probably saying no. I said Blue House. But what if they worked really hard and it's like detailed and they didn't spray, didn't miss anything? It's not blue, right? So unless you're entirely can't handle conflict, you're going to say, I said Blue House, my house is not blue, I am not going to pay you $8,000. So when a teacher gives you an assignment, right, they are saying, here's the Blue House. Follow these steps. And if you don't turn in a Blue House, don't be surprised if you do not get as much points as you want. Yeah. Okay. So that's my Blue House story, which also goes into the importance of asking questions, because I'm human. I am human, which, as you can see, also means fallible. So if you have a question about assignment, make sure to ask, right? Okay. Talked about that. I got a little list here that I'm going over. Reading academically. Talked about that. Okay. In 2 days, I'm going to have another video with some more, but this should be everything that you need to get started. Right? So you should have everything you need to get started. And that is Lincoln. Seriously, the kid is ridiculous. So, ridiculous in an awesome way. Hope you have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll have another video up on Thursday.